Ladies and gentlemen, I was not expecting to be making this video so soon, but in today's video, we are transforming my old gaming setup with my brand new Magnus Pro XL sit-to-stand gaming desk. But before I can show you that, we need to check out where this all started. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is my current setup. The reason why I'm showing you this now is because one, this is going to be kind of a bit of the before and then after we get the desk in here, and two is to illustrate generally the limitations of a regular desk versus the desk I'm putting in its place. Now, the first point I want to show you that's kind of a limitation slash kind of an annoyance. If you look down here, you'll notice the color here versus here is it's quite a stark contrast between these two. The reason being, if you look, you can see there's not a big gap between those, which means that when you're sliding this in and out, it tends to rub the side. Say you're someone who rolls around a lot in their chair, maybe you're moving it back and forth, you're going to be constantly slamming into it. It's going to be hard to move around, hard to get in and out, and it's just generally going to be more of a pain. With the new desk, we're going to be able to move more side to side. It's great that these have drawers, and I'll figure out some sort of drawer situation afterwards. But that's fine because I don't really have a ton of stuff, say, in these drawers. The second thing I want to show you guys, round back here, these monitor arms. As part of the desk upgrade, we are going to be getting 3 single arm mounts. I thought about getting the multi ones, but one, it was more expensive to get the multi ones, and two, I felt like it'd just be better for adjustments just to have a more freely articulating setup. Another thing with these is that one, they don't barely hold the weight of these monitors. It's supposed to be that it can technically hold more than these, but what often ends up being the case is if you see here, you can take these caps off and then you can tighten it. And I've had to do that multiple times. And anytime I bang these and these fall down, it's a real pain to try to have to pull it back up, and it just really doesn't want to stay. And you normally have to hold it for a good while before it kind of tightens itself up a bit. Also, there's no height adjustment. So if you're looking at this center monitor here, you'll notice it's not a ton, but quite a bit shorter. Also, just generally, there's less screen real estate. So say, looking at this screen or looking at this screen is not so bad. But if you were looking at this one, I tend to have to crane my neck down a bit in order to be able to actually see the monitor. And it's just generally not great. I have quite a bit of surface area, but honestly, having the more the merrier is really, in terms of the width, it's going to really help out. And kind of the last one of these, if you notice and you look down here, you're going to notice quite a bit of cables. It's not because I didn't try to cable manage, because obviously if you look up here and you look from the front, you really can't see any cables. Honestly, when you're looking in the front, you really can't see anything at all. But this is basically all the slack, and there's nothing I can really do. Technically speaking, if I get in here real close, you'll notice there's a cable tray. It's kind of hard to see because it's dark back there. I tried to turn the light on up here to try to be able to see. But basically, there's a little cable tray, and I thought it was going to be great. And it's better. It's better. It's definitely, these cables are all routed down in there. And generally, it's better. But it's still not great. There's not a ton of width. And so it's kind of hard. Say if I had to add a new cable or something. It's just generally not great. It's good that the PC is actually off the floor. So in terms of dust and everything, it actually generally, the fans and everything, don't really get a ton of dust. I try to clean fairly regularly, but generally having somewhere to be able to put all the cable slack, having more width, being able to have these sit to stand function and the monitor arms are kind of the main limitations slash upgrades and things that are going to be a lot better when we put the new desk in. Also, it will not be on this wall, but it will be actually along this wall, and that will be a bit of an adjustment, but I actually think overall it will be better that way than, say, right here. So here is your before, and then obviously once we get the new desk, you'll have your after. So here is your reference point, and then afterwards in the next part of the video, you'll get to see kind of the before and after, and I'll show a photo of this setup before, and then I'll show the after one. So thank you guys for watching this segment, and I hope it can help you to make a more informed decision as to whether you want to get this desk or you want to keep your current setup, or maybe save up a little longer before you decide that you want to spend the money to get the new desk. All right, I'm going to let you guys get to the more important part of the video, and we're going to get this all moved out of here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to disassemble this desk. It's kind of a bittersweet moment, but, well, let's get started. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has finally arrived. The desktop is here. This box is absolutely massive because it is the Secretlab Magnus Pro XL sit-to-stand desk. This is not the normal size. So this is about 70 by 30 in terms of size. It's pretty freaking heavy. Just this alone is 130-ish pounds, so it was quite a task to try to get it in. Cut the lid because the way they had it hinged wasn't the best, so we're gonna take this and we're just gonna shove it out of the way. And let's see what we've got here. Okay, so right here we have the assembly guide. Gonna be very important that we have this, and then on this little poster here we have, okay, so it tells us Secretlab Magnus Pro sit-to-stand metal desk. Meet the Secretlab Magnus Pro, the world's first sit-to-stand metal desk that powers your setup and itself with a single visible cable. Some of the things they like to mention here are a patent-pending fully integrated power supply column that's in the legs so that you only have one cable coming out the bottom. They have tested it for 20,000 up and down cycles, so you know that it's going to last a long time. And then it can also hold a load of up to 265 pounds. So unless you're putting something really heavy on there, I doubt you're gonna have a problem. All right, let's lift this top and let's see what we've got here. Okay, looking here, we have at the bottom here, actually it might be easier to get the top one. Start with the top one. Right here is the toolkit, the mounting block, and the cable tray. So this is where you're gonna put all your cables. It's super nice. It has a hinged cover on it. So when you put your cables down in here, you can just flap it over and then you can't see any of the cables inside. It'll also have these in here for assembling the desk. And from what I can tell, from what I've watched, for an accessory packet, it's a little nicer than some of the stuff you normally get when assembling anything furniture-wise. And then right here, we have the rear hinge cover, and that is what's gonna cover the cable tray so that you can't see any of the cables. I'm probably gonna be a little more meticulous in how I put it in the tray, but even if you were to just, say, toss your cables in there haphazardly, it's still not gonna look bad, and you're really not gonna be able to see it because the hinge covers like 99.9% of the actual tray itself. So let's get this out of the way. We have the actual desk itself. I have to get a knife and some Herculean strength to try to get this thing out of here, because it is not light. This is an all steel made desk, so we're gonna quickly pause, get this out of here, and then we'll go and look at the actual legs that come with it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got the top out. It was quite the task to get it off. It had the plastic around it, so and I had to hold it up while I tried to get the plastic off. The top here is all metal, which means the accessories that it's going to come with that will be here in a little bit, and I'll show you guys that after we get this assembled, will all snap onto this. Anything magnetic will stick to this top. On the side that's facing me, that we'll show you once we get the desk assembled, is the actual controls over here. It has up to 3 presets for height, and I'll show you more of how to do all of that once we get it in there. So this is the top, and now we're going to show you all that's in the leg box. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is box 2. This will have both of the legs in it. So if we open the top here, it's looking pretty good, actually. Take off this piece of foam here. And what do we have? Okay, we have the power cord, very important. We have, let's see, take these. This is one of the legs with the power connection on it. Yep, it's actually tried to come out of plastic here. This is one of the feet. Here's the other one. And then we have, get it out of here, the other side with the other end of the connection. These are pretty solid. And then inside of here, wait in there, this is the mag pad. So if you didn't have the mag pad, which is kind of like a key component of this, one of their selling features, I will say I put my hand on top of that desk and it didn't seem like it left any fingerprints, so you would be fine if you didn't have this, though I would recommend this. It's a leather type texture. They refer to it as leatherette. They also have a suede pad if that's your thing. Basically, you'll take 2 magnetic strips that are in here, you'll slot it on the sides of this, and then we'll stick it down. We'll demonstrate all of that once we get this all into the room. We'll do a time-lapse thing for the assembly. But yeah, this is, as far as I know, everything that comes in the box. Yep, I think it's just the foam here. Yep, I'm not seeing anything underneath. That's all that comes in box 2. We're gonna move all of this to the room and we're gonna assemble the desk, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the desk, and by then it's likely that the rest of the accessories will come, and we'll also add all of that on and talk about what I got and why I chose the certain accessories that I did. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the desk in here. We've got it flipped over and we're getting ready to assemble it. You guys get to see the fun part while I get to do all of the assembly, which is not that boring, but it will take a little bit. But it should be fairly easy with the instruction book. All right, let's get to this. What's it going? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the rear hinge cover here. We just got the desk all assembled and flipped up. Honestly, I wasn't sure how I was going to go with the flipping up part, but it's actually not that bad, especially considering the legs are so sturdy. You can pretty much just use them to do the grunt work. All right, let's get this unboxed here. Flip that up. Grab my knife over here. All you gotta do is flap these down, line this up. Is it lined up on your side? Slide it in. There we go, let me just slide it in. Grab the screws. Now that it's on there, when you put your cables in, you can just hinge it up and down. Alright, now that we've got the rear hinge cover on, we can get to the part that a lot of you guys probably think is pretty cool. It is the Secretlab mag pad. The cool thing about this, much like I explained earlier, is that you can use this, one, to cover the surface. Obviously you'd want to cover it. Most of the time people just have one that covers maybe most of the surface. It's kind of hard to get one that's the exact size of your desk. Luckily this one will cover the whole length, but a lot of times you'll have issues where, especially if you don't have a lot of weight on it, the pad will try to slide around. The thing with this one that is different than most pads is that because this is metal, you'll see why it's called the mag pad. Alright, after a little finagling, you really gotta start with a corner and just slowly work it in. It took 2 people to figure that out, but that's fine. Once you get it in there, now all we need to do is just slowly roll it out, and if you put your hand down as you're going, you'll get it flat. Because the problem is, if you don't do it very well the first time, you're gonna have a real hard time at the end trying to get it to actually be lined up. I bet you any money I can already tell. This will take a little bit of adjusting even afterwards. And the tab just slides off. You just go towards the end here, and then just put the other sleeve on, and it should all be good. And with a little more finagling, we actually found out, I was under the impression that it was actually these strips that made it magnetic, but actually on the underside, it looks like one of those magnets you have on your refrigerator. So the actual pad itself is what is magnetic. These are just to cover up the edges. They're kind of decorative, but this is what it looks like. I'm gonna go bring in all the accessory boxes, and we can start doing that because they just came a second ago. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here are all the accessories. They just arrived, and while we're opening them, I can tell you guys why it is that I chose these specific ones, because it's actually quite a lot of different things we have going on here. I need this. See? Okay, first, we'll start with the small stuff. So this right here, you'll see in a second. Oh, these are actually quite bigger than I thought they were. These are cable anchors. So say you had a cord and you wanted it to stay on your desk. Like say you had a charger and you had a cord and it was dangling off the back. Boom. That mag pad, I mean, it's actually going on there quite strong. and it comes in a 3-pack. So super cool. These are going to be really nice. I'm definitely going to use one for my headphone, one for a charging cord, and I'll have one left over. And who knows, maybe at some point I get another pack. Next up, another small box here. Nanoleaf partnered with them. If you ever see the promotional material for this, you'll always see a glowing light coming out the back. This is the light strip. Nice thing is that this will actually just magnet in the back. Next up, we'll start with the center here. You'll notice there are 3 of these monitor arms. You can get double and you can get a 3 monitor arm. I wanted to get 3 singles. The reason being, just honestly, it's way more adjustable if you have them all separate. I can position them out width-wise how I want them. You can do vertical, everything, height adjustment. And the nice thing is, just like this picture shows, you can actually, like say you had a constraint and you didn't want it poking out the back, you can actually push it sideways and still have the monitor coming out the front. So we'll open up one of these, show you guys what this looks like. But actually, this one doesn't actually have tape on it, which is nice. Alright, here we go. They also sell a big one, so like say you had a ultra wide, you can get one that actually has handles so that you can adjust it with the handles. This is the mounting block. It's actually quite thick. And then here's one half of the arm. It's nice. It has a little red accent, which I thought was really cool. And then push that down. So just sit this here. It's the other half. And then this is so you can adjust the tension depending on how heavy your monitor is. You might need to adjust the tension on it. And then it also, actually, ironically, comes with its own kit. So in case for some reason you somehow just wanted to get the monitor arm, because you can buy these accessories separately, it is nice that it does actually come with its own separate kit. And then in the box here, this will be what you use to actually put on the back. I'm pretty sure it would probably be compatible. This is a general VESA plate, so you don't technically have to use this. You can use the one that's already on there. It doesn't really matter. I would use this, honestly. And that is all it looks like for one of these. Then put this guy here in the center. I actually got 2 of these because eventually my plan is to have a dual PC setup. And so I wanted to have one for both sides, because you can put it on either side, whichever one you want. Obviously, this is a pretty big desk. You could put it on the top, but the reason why you want to use this is because as the desk goes up and down, you want to be able to have it where your PC moves up and down, because a lot of times you get situations where you have to have, say, one of those spines that bends and curves, and you have to figure out the slack for the cable. This basically completely eliminates that problem entirely. So we'll open up one of these and see what all is inside. Comes with a little instruction book. It's nice that they actually have quite a thick piece of foam, actually. Here is the plate that goes, I believe this goes up and down. Oh, I think this actually is what maybe slots in the side to hold it up, and then this is the actual mount itself, and then that's your lock unlock for adjusting the height. And then screws. This is a quick release. And that looks like that is all for that box. These are all basically the same. So I'm going to get the rest of these unboxed and situated, and then we'll start working on getting all these accessories installed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the monitor arm on. I'll show you it from the back. Here it is in all of its glory. It's really cool. It has a really nice red accent to it, which is super cool. And then if you want to move it around, all you have to do you can just sway it freely. Move it up, move it down. Super easy to do that. And then if we come around the back here, I flip this up and we get in here tight, you can see the actual LED itself, and then we put in a couple of things to actually, that you can actually see in the tray here. And then this little control box here is what allows you to turn on the light, which is super cool. Oh, almost fell there. And you can see it glowing there. And then if we just turn the tray here, turn this up and turn around, you can actually see it glowing on the wall. And the nice thing about this mount also that I wanted to show is that if you actually pull it back some, we have it a little offset so that the center is just about in the center of the desk. But if I come at an angle here, you can actually see it's flat to the desk. And it's super easy to put together. This was a bit of a pain because this recessed area isn't quite enough. So what I had to do is have my dad hold this, and then I basically screwed in the VESA mount on the back. If yours isn't like that, it'll normally be a little bit easier actually to get it on there. All it is just screw this plate down. You can just adjust that and then get it where it's wide enough to clamp onto this, then just clamp it down. And then this just sits in here, this sits in here, and then obviously you just attach your VESA mount or whatever mount you need for your actual monitor. And the nice thing is this is a quick release to actually take it off. And then I'll show you quickly. Turn the lights off here. There it is, actually glowing in the dark, which is super cool. I'm gonna go and get the actual PC mount, which is down here, and we'll probably build both of them, and then we'll get those on. We'll show you those and how to clamp your PC in, and then I'll end up putting all the stuff for the desk on, and I'll show you the whole setup, and we can kind of do a final summary / wrap up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you'll notice something a little bit different this time around. You'll notice that there's actually a number here on the pad. What I ended up having to do is come under here, and there's a control box in the middle. All you have to do is take out the 4 screws, and it ended up being that there was a wire that came out, the red one that does your DC power, actually ended up coming out of here, so I had to plug it back in, and now switch that off, switch that on. That turns your thing on. You can keep it off so that whenever you turn it on, it doesn't randomly move around. But anyways, we're going to do the calibration process before we do the PC, because it's going to make it a lot easier. Honestly, it would have made it a lot easier for me had we done that in the first place before assembling a lot of this stuff. But nonetheless, all you have to do is press the down button until you hear a beep. There you go, and then the calibration process is done. So then you can lift it up. And as you can see, it lifts up all the way up here. This is about 50 inches, and then it goes down to about 26 inches at the lowest setting, which is what it was set at before. But then it also gives you a readout so that you can very accurately, and it'll do it like single digit difference. So you can get super accurate in terms of the height. Like I said, it can hold up to over 200 pounds. I think it's 265 pounds is what it's rated for. So you're not going to worry about any, even at this height. And I'm sure it's the most unstable. I mean, it's not moving. It's not moving. So now we can lower it back down. And we'll just lower it to this. This should be a pretty good height for me, because then I don't have to struggle to try to get this. But yeah, you can do that. And then these are your profiles here. And let me actually see. When I come over here. So in order to save the memory, it says set into memory the desired height for either seated or standing positions. Use the 3 buttons. Use the up, down, press S button, press the 1, 2, 3 to assign the current height. So we'll just do an example. Let's just say it was this. We'll hit S, we'll hit 1, and then let's just say we do that. Brings it back. Super simple. Like I said, you can set up to 3 of them. Maybe you want 1 sitting, 1 standing, and then maybe you're trying to clean your PC or something and you just want maximum ability to, say, get underneath of here to clean your PC or whatever you need to do. You can set it to that. And that's basically how you calibrate the desk. Now, I'm going to shift the camera over and I'll show you how you clamp your PC into the PC mount. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are sat underneath of here now. And I want to show you guys how you can use this PC mount. On the back, you're going to see a lock, unlock. All you have to do, pull this out. And then each one of these holes will allow you to adjust the height. Basically, all you need to do is see how much height you need. So then we'll take our PC here, we'll put it in the mount. In the case of this PC, actually, there isn't a ton of width, so I don't actually need the locking bar necessarily. But all you do, take that, hold on to it so that your thing doesn't slam down like I did a great job of there. And then it's in there, and then take this piece here, slide it in there, and then that will ensure that your PC is locked in. Now it can't go anywhere. You can even say you want to adjust it up and we want to move it over so that this is touching. All I need to do, just grab the edge, make sure that that's locked in there. And you just pull it, push it so it sits down. And now it's locked in there solid. I could probably, actually, you know what, I'm gonna adjust this just a little bit. So lock it in there. Then I'm gonna slide this a little bit forward because it might actually need to go up just a bit. There we go, that's about center. Now we're on there good. In fact, the reality is, with this PC, I don't actually need this because it's wide enough, so I'm not even gonna bother. I'll keep this in here for now, but that locks it, that unlocks it, and then you just push this. Pull the lock. Make sure to hold on to this because this thing, I mean, this thing's spring loaded. Then all you have to do, push this up. It's gonna be a bit of a challenge, actually, to try to get this in here. Push up on there, lock it in, and it is locked down. I think my lock might not have been quite locked in, so I'll have to readjust that. That's my fault. I think I didn't quite have the lock locked in. It also twists, so that was on the unlocked one, and then there's one where you twist the lock and it'll lock it. I'll fix that, and then in post you'll see that. So I'm gonna go and do the rest of the wiring. I'll put the rest of the monitor mounts and everything, and then we'll have this all set up, and I'll show you guys what the end result looks like. Going from the desk you guys saw at the beginning, all the way to the new one with the new Magnus Pro XL sit-to-stand gaming desk. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen, for the bad camera angle, but we have one last thing. I know you thought, oh, we're going to the reveal. No. Hold your horses. This just came in, and we got a new shirt on. It's a new day. It actually took quite a while to actually get everything set up. Not because of the desk, just because I'm anal about stuff. Anyways, we have here the final of all the accessories. This took a little bit longer. I actually ordered this in a separate order because I first decided I wasn't going to get it, but then I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So I ended up ordering it in a separate order, so it took just a little bit longer to get here. This is the Secretlab Magnetic Ethernet cable extender, and I'll show you guys once we get it out of the box what exactly it does, because you might be a little confused. There it is. You'll notice there is one at the base here and one at the top, and if we look at the instruction manual here, don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see that. Try to fold that out so you can see that. And I'm gonna grab you guys here and bring you over so that I can get you in a good spot here to try and show you guys this here. Not sure how best to do this. Let me just see if I can get it. It's probably about as good as I can get. You guys are about as close to the wall as I can get you here. I should have had the desk actually pulled out. I actually pushed it against the wall, but this should be a good enough angle to demonstrate. Basically, you take this end, slap it on the bottom. Actually, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna follow their directions. So say 85 to 95. Okay, it says 85 to 95. I think it's just saying to lower it down just to make sure nothing's messed up. Okay, that's relatively within the range. Then all you do, take this, slap it on. Let me see. Actually, there we go. See, now you can see that's lined up, and if I shoot you guys down here, see if I can get an angle where you guys can see it. Hopefully you guys can see that. I can't really tell. That's the bottom there. And then if I push this up here, you'll see as we go up, the cable extender will also go up. In fact, if I can get this up here, you can see it's pretty close to the tray, so then you can basically take the Ethernet cable from there and plug it into there. So then you don't have any cables going up and down. Alright, I'm gonna go get my dad, have him plug in the cables, and I will show you guys the desk in all of its glory, because that is everything done. Ladies and gentlemen, after all the blood, sweat, and tears, welcome to my brand new Secretlab Magnus Pro XL gaming desk setup.
Crave. Crave.
Now, I'm going to bring you around, so I'm going to grab you guys up here, and I'm going to show you guys all the stuff that we have going on. We have all the monitor mounts on. We are even using the cable anchors that I showed you guys when I was going through all of the accessories. I'll show you guys again. I'll even show you the lifted position. In fact, right now I'll show you. Here is the actual lifted position that at least right now I have it set to this height, but at some point I may adjust it a little bit, but for now this is pretty good. We'll go back down to the normal height here. Go, and I'll grab you guys and I'll show you around the actual setup itself. So if I grab you guys here, show you around. First things first, we have the actual monitor mounts themselves. I have a triple monitor mount, so like I said, that's why I wanted to get individual single monitor arms. You can see that one there. Then if we go around this side, you guys can see that one there. And if I just peek around the corner, you can see that last one along with the tripod that I have back there. And then I have all my stuff. And if you notice over here, I've got the cable anchor there that is mostly for charging my phone. I just had my earbuds charging right there. And then you can see all the wires coming out the back, and you can see how that goes through the actual monitor arms. All the cables, they go down pretty nicely into that tray. I'll take you around the back here, and I'll flip up this tray, and you'll be able to see all of those wires there. Turn this here so that you guys can see it a little bit better. Let's see if I can get this thing to move where I want it to. It's a little bit hard to see. Try to angle it in there. But you can see all the cables are down in there. I'll see if I can get around this end actually. Oh. Brought it around to my face. Here. Be easier if I actually have it flipped around. It's my first time using a gimbal. Try to get that in there. I think you guys get the basic gist of how that is. I have it tucked up against the wall because I want more space, but we'll put that down. But you can basically see how the lights are. In fact, if you guys want to see how the lights actually look, turn it off here, and that is what the full setup actually looks like in the dark, which is pretty cool. Turn the lights back on here. There we go. I'll show you guys. This is the PC, and then if we just follow it around the side here, that's the cables out the back, which aren't too bad. I could probably bundle them up a little bit better, but really if you're looking from the front, you literally almost can't even see them. You can barely see it peering out the edge there. And then this one will actually be for in the future. I haven't figured out where I'm gonna put that light there. And for now, that's lamp is sitting there now. If I try to go to the back here, I can show you guys. There is the actual Ethernet plug for the cable extender. And then if we just see if I can push you guys up just enough, you can see that one that goes actually into the top, which is super cool. Funnily enough, actually with that, we had an issue with the cables, and we actually ended up dragging it all the way to like the corner of the room over there and having to plug it in to the router that's over there, which was a bit of a nightmare, I'll be honest. I'll show you guys actually me sitting at the desk. It took a little bit to adjust this. I still might honestly even move some of these around just a little bit, which is fine. That's actually not a big deal. But the great thing is they are very adjustable, and it's just a free movement to turn it if you want it to be vertical or horizontal. I'll do a little bit of a recap at the end of the video when I show you guys me sitting there. I'll talk about pricing. I'll talk about just generally how I feel, because you'll see I'm in a different shirt. I actually wanted to test it out just a little bit before I showed you guys so that I could talk about what I liked about using it so far. And obviously it's going to take a little bit longer to just adjust and get used to it, but being able to have it where you can sit or stand is super cool, and being able to have these presets is actually really nice. We'll push it back and I'll show you guys one more time what it looks like all the way up into the air. And then, like I said, I'll do one final wrap up here, but that is pretty much it. Eventually I will also get casters for that. They just came out with them, actually. I don't know if it's today or relatively speaking when this is. It's currently the 30th. Alright, again, I want to thank you if you've been watching up until then. Like I said, I'll shoot you to a video of me sitting at the desk, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is time finally to go over pricing. That was one of the parts earlier in the video you'll remember that I mentioned, was that I wanted to talk about the price because of the fact that this is a pretty serious investment, pretty serious upgrade to your setup. I wanted to make sure that I went over that. So what you're looking at here is the actual Magnus Pro website. This is the Evo, which we'll go over in a second, but this is the Secretlab Magnus Pro here. First things first that you're gonna notice is the actual desk itself. Earlier in the video, you'll have seen an infographic that talked about the size of the regular versus the XL. The regular is 59.1 inches by 27.6, so it's about the same size, actually, relatively, as my old desk. The new desk is just a lengthwise actually not as much as you would think, longer than the old one, but the depth actually is quite a lot. Obviously, some of that is the desk surface itself, and then some of it is the back. In terms of the actual amount of the desk I use, it's actually not as much as you would think. It's actually so much more desk than I need, but it actually gives you great adjustability, and if I need to set something on the top of the desk, I can easily do that. So first things first, you're looking at here, you have the Magnus Pro. That's going to start out at $899, and then the XL, it starts out at $1,050. So we'll start with a setup with this. I'll show you a couple different setups, because I could show like a thing at the top and we can add and show as it goes, but I think it's better to just give you guys a couple presets so that you have an idea of, here are some setups most people would use, and here's what it's going to cost depending on what it is that you want to add. Because there are some things, and that's kind of the reason why I went on the website instead of just saying, oh, it cost me this much, because there are other offerings and other accessories that I didn't actually show. So we're going to start with that. Then in terms of the actual desk itself, you can get it in black, but you can also get it in pure white. You can see the difference there. We'll keep with the black for now. It doesn't, I believe, yeah, it doesn't cost you any more black versus white. And then when it comes to the actual desk pads itself, you have stealth, you have the black. It's nice that the website actually will show you the different colors and kind of what they look like with this little graphic here, which is really cool. They have black suede, so if you like that texture, I don't personally like it because the amount of dust and stuff, and also like if you put your hands on that, it's gonna show in the material, so it's not personally my thing. But if you like that, there is that option. It's a little bit, actually quite a bit more, since it's $100 more. They have a cream one. They've actually brought a lot more in the micro suede material, but you have a bunch of different pads you can get. I personally went with the signature black. I said it earlier in the video, but I'm pretty basic when it comes to that. I didn't want anything super loud when it came to mine. They also do have a sale here where you can get a little bit more money off if you choose these preset kits. So as you can see here, it'll show you that the little items that come with it. If you want to add those on, I'll just quickly clear those off. It will save you a little bit of money. I would actually recommend, if you're gonna buy, wait till it's on sale. You're gonna save yourself at least $100, if not more, give or take, depending on what the sale is. I would just generally recommend to wait, because if you're gonna spend that much, you might as well get the money off. It is my personal opinion. Then in terms of cable management, what's cool is if you do have, say, a different color desk, you can pretty well get it to match whatever your top is. So I thought that was actually kind of a nice thing for them to do. And then in terms of other products they have the normal one, they have the XL. You can see you get a little more of the cable anchors, and I think another set of the cable ties themselves. That's going to cost you $55 for the regular, $74 for the XL. And then you've also got a magnetic hanger. It'll be underneath of the desk. It's okay. It works. And if you're not rough on it, like if you really don't put weight on it, it'll never move. It's actually quite strong. The magnets, like I talked about, when you have the big cable anchors, I mean, they are on there. As far as we know, my dad was looking at, he thinks it's a neodymium magnet. Whether or not it's a strong magnet. You've also got the Ethernet cable extender. Originally, when I got my order, I didn't actually put it on there, so I had to get a separate order with it. That's actually why it took a little bit longer to get here. I was surprised. Actually, I was surprised. This actually came the same day as the desk. I was actually expecting this to come a lot later. It was just later in the day that it actually came. You can get the set of 3, and you can also add as many as you want. It has an option here to add as many as you want. And then you've also got the cable sheath. So we'll add this, we'll add the extender, and that's basically my actual setup. I'll make sure that I add those on. So add that, we'll add this, then just confirm the selection. Boom, it adds it to your order. Next, we've got monitor arms. I mentioned earlier you can get 2 monitor arms all on one system, one plate, or you can get a single. You can get the super heavy duty, and you can see the little arms there that you use to adjust it. You can actually get a desk riser, which is nice. You can put plants and stuff. That was definitely an option. I didn't personally want it, but if you do, that is a cool option. They've also got these ones that have like 3 or 4 coming from a post. I personally went with the single because I wanted as much articulation as possible, as much adjustability in terms of where I place them relative. Depending on the size of your monitors, it gives you less adjustability in a sense because they're fixed to one spot. So that's something to keep in mind. It also gets quite expensive to actually get the upgraded version. If you get 2 arms in one, it's actually less expensive than, say, getting 3 singles. If you get a 2 and a 1, or however you want to do that. But the single one, actually, to be fair, if you got 3 arms and you were somehow able to get it adjusted just right, you would just... Now, you wouldn't even save money. Honestly, I would just... If you're getting 3 on them, I would just get 3 singles. If it was me personally. You can also get a laptop attachment, which is nice. You just mount it to the arm and you can add a laptop, which is really nice if you say you're, I don't know, even whether it's a Mac or whatever, and you just have the display out to a monitor. It's nice to have that option. I put 3 on there. That's what my setup was. And then you've also got the monitor mount itself. It can pretty much, unless you've got a really big case, you can pretty much fit anything in there. One of the nice things they do have now, I'll actually add it to the list because I'm eventually going to put it on mine. They didn't have the wheels when I got it. It was like, believe it or not, a couple days after I got it that they actually added those. So basically it means you can unlock the wheels, and then you can wheel your setup around wherever you need it if you need to get behind. Because like, for instance, with my setup, I've got it up against the wall. Most people would have it up against the wall. You want to be able to get all the way to the back to adjust it. You can adjust it from the side, but if I needed to pull it out, it's much nicer. I have it on the pads currently so it doesn't scratch the floor, so it's not too bad to move around if you got it on some pads, but I would recommend to get the casters. I actually think that's really awesome that they did that. And then they partnered with Nanoleaf to do this. It's a really nice strip. One of the things I'll mention in the video at the end when I'm talking about my final thoughts will pertain to this, so keep watching to see that. I'll add that on and we'll confirm our selection here. And I believe that is actually... So here's the total. Depending on where you live, the shipping can be different, so you'll have to put in your actual shipping location to figure out where exactly you're gonna lie in terms of the actual amount extra for the shipping. For mine, I'm pretty close relatively, so I believe it was like $150 shipping. It was only a couple states over, so not too bad. And actually, considering the weight, the shipping is actually really good. One of the pieces on mine was delayed, and they don't keep a ton of stock of the items, so the chances that you have that it'll actually take a month or so is, I don't want to say high, but it's definitely a possibility that you could have to wait a little bit for yours. But if they have whatever you're ordering in, it could be a couple days, depending, like I said, relatively where you live, depending. So like I said, it's about $2,000 for my setup. Let's say you went with something, I don't know, a little more basic. Let's say you wanted to do a heavy arm, I wanted to do a riser. I decided I didn't want to do the PC mount or that. Let's say I didn't even do the light. Let's say we really stripped it down. Let's say we didn't even get cable anchors or the Ethernet cable extender. We'll just clear that off and we'll just go with the same amount, $500 off. That's $1,500 for that. Let's say we instead went with the Pro, which is a little less expensive. That's $1,300. You're probably, relatively speaking, even if you don't get a ton of things on, is about $1,000. Probably the lowest is going to be about $1,000 to really have basic, really stripped down setup. You're probably going to be looking at about $1,000 on the low end and about $2,000, maybe potentially a little more, depending on if you have a Mac setup. I have a pretty Mac setup. When I got it, my dad was like, put everything on there, no matter what, just put everything on there. So I did, and you saw, relatively speaking, what it was. I think it was about $1,800, not quite $1,900 for mine because I didn't have the wheels on it, and I also got it on sale, so it was a little more than $100 off. I think it was $125, maybe $150. So next, we're going to be looking at the Evo, which is the entry level. I wanted to show you guys the first My Desk, and then this is their actually budget offering, which is the Evo. The difference is, you'll notice here, this is actually comes in 3 pieces, and it's got little dowels, and you just stick the sides in. These little sections here you see are actually magnetic zones, and these magnetic zones are where you can put the Magnus. On the Pro versus the non-Pro, you can stick it literally anywhere, so you have ultimate adjustability. With this one, it's pretty much spots where people would generally put theirs is actually where the magnet is. So it's not all metal, say like this desk. Not that I think it will make much difference in terms of sturdy. I mean, this thing is sturdy, and I've got a good amount of weight. Like there's no bowing. Like, you would really have to put some serious weight, considering it can do over 200 pounds on it. You'd have to put some serious weight on it. You could even use this as a work top if you wanted to, rather than just a desk. Also, nice thing is they just added an Evo XL version, and it's actually, relatively speaking, compared to the other one, actually less price difference. It's about $100 between, instead of about 200, 150, 200 between the normal and the XL. And it's actually the normal size is a little bit bigger than the other one in terms of the starting size, and then the XL, other than depth wise, is relatively speaking about the same size, obviously same length. As you can see, it's actually quite cheaper, $749 for that, and what were we looking at for this? $899. So a little over $100 more, and then that's $200 cheaper than the XL version of the big one. Again, you don't get as much width, but that's still probably plenty of width for most. I mean, I've got so much depth back, I don't even need it. Nothing. I have the monitors personally close to me, but you could have it backed off quite a bit if you're not someone that wants it right in your face. Again, they offer the same thing in terms of the accessories, same range of products in terms of adding on. Let's say we went with the XL version, and we decided we wanted to have basically the same setup as we did before. So we'll add that. We'll add our 3 monitor arms, and then we'll add the 2 PC mounts. That you can see, that's like $300 cheaper, just about $300 cheaper. So you definitely do have flexibility. You're within a couple $100, depending on if you go with the Evo or you go with the other. Also, another thing you'll notice with this one, you'll see this picture here. This is how its tray works. Unlike the other one where it comes out the back and you have the hinge, this actually in and of itself is actually a hinge. I'm sure there's probably a weight limit, so relatively speaking, you're probably not going to have much weight in here, but definitely something to note. You got these hinges here. I haven't personally felt this in person, so in terms of stability, I would imagine it would be pretty strong. So you're not putting a freaking brick in here. You should be fine, relatively speaking. And that's pretty much it in terms of pricing. Like I said, there wasn't much accessory wise that was different. You can actually go in this accessory tab, and it'll actually have it for their chairs and for their desks. Let's say we went to the chair add-ons. We'll just go there real quick. Sorry, this is their chair add-ons. I meant desk add-ons. I don't believe there's much difference in terms of, because one of the nice thing is, you'll remember, if you remember back, they actually give you a toolkit inside of the monitor arm itself. So say you didn't get the desk, you can get the arms or any of these accessories if somehow you can get it to work with yours. If you get some little magnets and stuff, you could use these accessories on a different desk, but you can buy everything separately. Obviously, they sell it with the desk. Say, for instance, the cable straps. I think I didn't show them, but I think the reason why they make them a little more expensive than, say, if you got a bundle off of Amazon with some cheapy cable ties that are going to be about the same. I think it's just because they think, oh, you're going to buy everything all at once. So the price is because you're buying it all at once. So the one thing I noticed that was actually pretty expensive was actually the cable ties themselves. Let me see if I go over here if I can find those in the accessories, because they are normally in there, but maybe I missed them somehow. Let me see if I can find it under the cable management. Looks like they just, I don't know if they took off. They might have just taken off the little strips, because normally they're under cable management. So I'm not sure. They normally come with these little cable strips. Let me see if I see them in here. Oh, also they have these bumper things. It's so that if you put it against the wall, you don't mar your wall if you want it all the way up against it. It's nice because you can take them on or take them off. It's definitely one of the things that wasn't on there that could be something you want. But as you can see, a set of 10 is 19 bucks. That's like $1 plus. You can get cheaper ones. If you want the ones with the straps, you can. I don't know. It depends on what you want. Like I said, I think the reason why they make them a little more expensive than they could be is because they're bundling it and they think, oh, you're going to buy it with the desk. So it probably not going to make much of a difference for the consumer to be like, oh man, I'm ripped off on this. It's also cool they have an L-shape expansion that you can add to your desk. They actually have a version of the desk that doesn't actually even have the motor function. The Evo does have the up and down. And you can even buy these desk pads separate. You can buy this one. It's a single arm with a connector add-on. I guess you can maybe add a couple more of these arms on. But that's generally speaking what the actual accessories are. There's not really any here. They even have they actually have a surge protected power strip that you can get. These wipes, that's for a chair. I think relatively speaking, most of the accessories are actually on the front page, which is nice. But that pretty much in terms of pricing is all there is to it. I hope that was helpful to kind of show that off. And next I'll do my final thoughts and we'll wrap this video up because it's probably getting pretty long. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is finally time to talk about my final thoughts on the desk, having had it for long enough now to kind of get the ins and outs. I don't use the sit to stand part too much, but it's just because it's not something that's normal to me. I figured I would start with that. In terms of using it sitting, standing, it works great. It actually, one of the things I didn't mention, I tried to, but didn't quite get it precise. It's down to quite literally the millimeter. So if you need to, it can adjust pretty much anywhere to the littlest amount. The nice thing is if you do hit something, going down, it will spring back up. I haven't personally ran into that. I actually like to run it where my arms are parallel to the desk itself. You can run it where it's under, and at night what I'll actually do is I'll raise the desk up and I'll push the chair underneath because I don't have a ton of space between here and the back there. So I'll raise it up a little bit at night and then I'll do that. The presets is really nice because then in the morning I set it up, I turn my PC on, I can just boom, flip the screen on, press the button, boom, comes down right to this length. I can do the standing height. In fact, I'll show you guys actually. If I can get my finger around here. There we go. We'll actually raise it up here. I don't have it quite dialed in for filming yet, so I'll have to duck down. I haven't quite set the right height for standing, but I think you generally get the idea. The motor's actually pretty quiet, so it's not that annoying, and it lowers pretty quickly, so it's not actually too much of a big deal in terms of the speed going up and down. You're not going to realistically be actually moving it up and down that much. One of the things that I did want to mention, I mentioned in the last segment about that light strip. One of the things I would recommend, get yourself a piece of wood. If you're going to do the multiple monitors especially, or any monitor for that, get yourself a block of wood, put a block, then put the plate, sandwich it around the block, and then set your actual piece with the light on top of the plate on the inside. So have like a gap between the block and the light, have that set in there. That's the best way to do it. I clamped it to the desk. I would recommend doing a block because you can't really tell in the light itself, but there's technically a bit of a bend because of the way that it being attached to the actual desk. Originally I had it to the light. I would not recommend mounting it to the light. Make sure that you're on a solid surface. Like I said, I would get a block and then I'd put the light on the inside of the block so that it shines out. That is the best way to do that. That was one of the quirks. I wish they designed it a little bit better and giving you a little bit more to the inside that you could have put the light. The way I had it, where you'll see it in the video, I actually ended up changing the way it is actually mounted in there. I would not recommend in any way mounting it to the light. That's going to put way too much strain, way too much weight, and you spend enough money on it. There's no reason to even possibly damage it. That was one of the things that I definitely wanted to make sure that anyone that's getting the desk, please make sure you put a block and put your light on the inside. In terms of actually using it day to day, like I said, it's awesome that you have the adjustability. This thing is sturdy as heck. I mean, it's not going anywhere. I have so much space, it's not even funny. I don't even probably utilize a ton of the space, but I can have everything spread out. And to be honest, in terms of cables, I have so many. One of the other things I'll mention, because of the fact that I have so many cables, is I would like to see the tray actually come back a little bit more. There's quite a bit of that tray that's actually sticking under the desk, and if you got to get your hand in there, it can be pretty hard. I wish it had a little bit more depth, but in terms of the cable tray, like if you don't have that much stuff, like I said, whether you want to go with this or the Evo, you got so much space. Why other desk manufacturers haven't done it, I don't think Secretlab's patents or whatever are so different that someone, it seems like this isn't rocket science. I don't know why other desks don't do that. That was one of the other deciding factors, was like, there's just certain things about this desk with the magnetic features, with that cable tray, that it's like, I don't understand why other desks don't do it. When you have a wooden one, you have kind of that adjustability in terms of things you can drill to the underside of the desk, but I don't see any desk that's designed like this one that's even close. That's one of the things that went into this. I love the way it looks, the fact that I can get a different pad. If I decide I want to get a different pad, I can totally do that at any time. That's pretty much in terms of an overview. There's not much more to say. I can adjust my monitors wherever I want. The PC mount is awesome. It's not going to get nearly as much dust or anything because it's up off the ground, so I don't even have to worry about dust. It's not that bad to clean off. Get yourself a microfiber cloth, some water, wipe it off. I would be careful. Don't use any chemicals or anything. This is a textured surface, so you might get a little bit more dust, but honestly, I haven't noticed that it attracts a ton. I actually noticed in terms of what it seems to stick to, the metal little sides with the little strips actually tend to get quite a bit of dust stuck on them, but in terms of the pad and everything, it's not too bad. And like I said, if you just got water and a microfiber cloth, you can pretty much wipe it off pretty easy. That's pretty much my final thoughts. There's not much otherwise that I would mention that's really a gripe. I don't want to say like a gripe, but anything that, like, you get what you expect. You get what you pay for. I think it's good value, actually. I mean, you could make an argument, and I'm sure there's other desks that are cheaper, but you're just not going to get what you get with this desk with another desk. That's not me trying to overhype it or anything. It's just, there's nothing relatively close to this that it's even close. You can get another desk if you like a different look, but there's just nothing that has this level of functionality, and like, they use their brain. So this is going to be the end of the video. I thank you for anyone that actually watched all the way through. I talked quite a bit, so this video is probably going to be running quite a good length. I wouldn't be surprised if it's about an hour by the time it's all said and done. Go check down below. My Twitch channel will be there. I'm going to be streaming really consistently. Now that I've got the desk all set up, it's perfect for that. That was one of the things that I wanted to get this desk for, was for streaming. I can do standing, sitting. If you're going to be at your desk for a long time, it's just really nice to have. Go check my socials down below. Twitter will tell you. I'll post when I'm going live, all that sort of stuff. Any other news that will be there. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel. That would really help. And also like the video so that more people will see it. Again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.